I made the decision to have an affair 3 months ago. It started with me feeling too comfortable in my marriage and not appreciating what I had. I got involved in some online communities where people, mostly single women, talked about sleeping around. It seemed exciting, and they made it sound empowering. Somehow I got it into my head that I could do the same. They egged me on, and I convinced myself that my husband was the problem. He was too bland, too predictable, and I deserved something better, something thrilling. I began only seeing his faults, neglected him, and grew resentful for reasons that, looking back, weren't even his fault. I let this distorted thinking lead me into the worst decision of my life. I purposely got too close with a coworker. I let my boundaries slip, and before I knew it, we ended up at a hotel after work. It only happened once, and the moment it was over, I felt a wave of disgust and regret wash over me. I realized just how much I had thrown away for a fleeting, meaningless encounter. Immediately, I cut off all contact with my coworker. I avoided him at work, and the guilt was overwhelming. My husband didn't deserve any of this. Not my emotional distance, not my lies, and certainly not the betrayal. I had shattered his trust, and I knew there was no undoing it. But my coworker wasn't happy that I wanted nothing more to do with him. He pestered me and tried to convince me to continue what we had started. I refused. Then he took matters into his own hands and started telling other male coworkers what had happened. It spread quickly, and soon enough some of them began making jokes, menacing, crude comments. Some even hinted that they wanted a turn too. It was so humiliating, and I was horrified, but there was nothing I could do to stop it. Before long, the rumors spread even further. They made it to my husband. When my husband found out, he was outraged. He kicked me out of the house, and I was horrified by the intensity of his anger. I was prepared for him to ask questions, but none came. I knew I didn't deserve another chance, and I had broken something that couldn't be easily fixed, but his anger surprised me. Gone was the cool man I was married to. A few days later, he called me and asked me to come back so we could talk. He wanted every detail, and I answered all his questions honestly, no matter how painful it was for both of us. He called me every name under the sun, and I took it gracefully because I knew I deserved it. After that, I moved back into the house, though it wasn't because he wanted me there. He didn't, and tried to discourage me from moving back in. It was because I had nowhere else to go. Now I'm back in our home, but I'm sleeping in the guest room. My husband said he doesn't want me in our bed, that the thought of me beside him is nausea-inducing. He's asked for space, so I've been doing my best to give it to him. Almost every night for the past few weeks, he's asked me questions about what happened and oftentimes ends up cussing me out, making me feel awful. It's confusing and painful, but I'm trying to be there for him in whatever way he needs, even though I know I'm the one who caused this pain. I left my job to remove myself from the situation entirely, and I haven't spoken to my affair partner since. The guilt and shame I feel right now are overwhelming. I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for me, nor do I think I deserve any kindness. But I also want to learn from this. I want to understand how I let myself fall so far, and how I can become someone better, someone worthy of trust, respect, and love. I'm trying to support my husband, but I know he's keeping me at arm's length, and I can't blame him for that. How do I even begin to rebuild, if that's even possible? How do I help my husband when he's struggling, without forcing myself into his space when he doesn't want me there? I know I've broken something that may never be repaired, but if there's a chance, even the smallest chance, I want to do whatever I can to take it. Edit. I am a woman in my early 30s. The women in those communities I mentioned were older, mostly in their 50s and 60s. Many of them were divorced, widowed, or had been married for a very long time. I realize now that it was a mistake to think I could follow their advice or make their experiences my own. They've already lived through their marriages. I was only beginning in mine. Update. My husband has contacted a divorce lawyer. He said to expect papers within the next 2 weeks. He wants it to be uncontested, said it's the least I could do after everything I've put him through. He's keeping the house and said he won't pay alimony, but I don't think I can agree to those terms. They would totally screw me over. I have nowhere to go, no job, and no financial security. I need to start looking after myself now, since my husband won't. I'll probably have to be selfish. I thought that since my husband never explicitly said he wanted a divorce during all these weeks, and because we were still living in the same household, maybe he was at least considering reconciliation. I hoped he was weighing his options, but now it seems like he was just gathering himself to proceed with the divorce. I'm in individual counseling and trying my hardest to understand why I made the choices that caused so much pain. It's a slow, difficult process, but I'm committed to it. We're currently sleeping in separate bedrooms, as he asked for space, but now he says he needs me out of the house soon. It feels like everything is closing in on me, and I can't escape the consequences of my actions. My husband was initially fixated on the details of the affair, especially about the sexual aspects with the AP. I know answering those questions was painful for him, but I responded truthfully, believing that maybe it would help him get some closure and eventually move on. Now it feels like he doesn't want closure. He just wants to make me hurt the way I hurt him. He lashes out frequently, saying deeply hurtful things, and while I take it because I know I deserve it, however, if we're proceeding to divorce anyway, maybe I need to rethink my stance. Maybe it's time to focus on how I can rebuild my life, even if that means pushing back against the terms he's proposing. I want to do right by him, but I also need to find a way forward for myself. Story 2. 1 month since I split from my cheating ex, and I need a rant. 2 weeks after we split, my ex started a real shit show, downward spiral with her life, and I went full no contact. She has moved in the AP to her family home with her and her 3 kids. I know people in her family and circle of acquaintances. I can't say friends because sadly few people like her. They have reached out to me to warn me off any contact, which helped my decision. AP is involved in drugs and has various criminal records, including assaulting women and kids. X is clearly out of her mind. My expectations from this thread and articles about affairs are that the ex will get someone who appears better than their original SO. My ex hasn't even tried. Maybe it should make me feel better. She has traded down, so can't lower my self-esteem, right? But she's fucking destroying hers and the kids' lives, and it's so senseless. Honestly, right now I can see her losing her kids and her personally hitting below rock bottom. What the hell happened to the person I was with all those years? I've almost had to block her from everything just because I can't bear to watch when the inevitable happens and someone gets hurt. It's such a weird feeling and so impossible to process. My emotions spin around day to day in various orders of these. I hate her for what she did to me. I forgive her as she wasn't in her right mind. I hate her for what she's putting the kids through. I'm deeply worried about her welfare. I miss the kids so goddamn much I'm scared that the shit show may still come to me. How do you process that? I'm hanging on to sanity every day by working on myself as much as I can. Eating right, working out, keeping clean and well-dressed, and keeping as bright and positive as I can when around others. But when I'm alone, it's maddening. I frequently feel like I want to just go round there and say enough. Stop destroying yourself and your kids. You need help and you need it now. But I know she wouldn't hear it. Some else already did it and she just got angry. Whatever people may think, my ex doesn't deserve this. No one deserves this. She is going to be broken or worse and no one can stop it. Update: my D-Day was 6 months ago. I just want to share my experience to date to hopefully give some others out there a sense of hope. I remember the pain all too well, the feeling that life was over. Well, it wasn't, and I'm glad I continued to fight for my happiness. My post history says it all. In short summary, I tried nearly a month of attempted reconciliation and a further month of attempts to end things peacefully. I also wanted some contact to maintain the relationship with my stepkids. My ex revealed her true nature in this time, and the lies, manipulation, and hate that was spewed bordered on psychotic. I was forced to go NC to save myself. During that whole time, from week 1 after D-Day, the one thing I did and continue to do is work on myself. Going to the gym, eating well, socializing. I can't stress how important this is. It saved me, and I thank everyone on this thread who advised me to do this. Well, 3 months after D-Day, I started dating. I was ready, not everyone will be, and it's important to make sure you are. I've now been in a happy, stable relationship for 2 months with a wonderful girl. I learned from my past relationship and learned what red flags I so foolishly overlooked. I feel stronger and better able to pick a partner who fits me. I still have my moments of doubt sometimes. I get a pang of worry that maybe that disagreement we had is a big red flag, or maybe she's just going to get bored of me like the ex. But that will ease with time. Oh, and the ex. So I kept NC from month 2 after D-Day, blocked on everything. She continued her attempts to contact me, despite that she was with the AP and, in her words, very happy with him. She even sent an email saying she just missed me and wanted to talk. I responded to that one to say very bluntly that I didn't miss her or want to talk. This week I got another email asking for help to reset her email password since the recovery was my email. I felt enough time had passed that I could stomach a brief interaction, and even though she deserves no sympathy, I don't want to be petty. And what I learned is she hasn't changed. She tried to get me to ring her to do it when I made it clear it was easier to sort via message. And she tried to ask if I was in a relationship or what I was doing. There was also a very half-thought-out and poor apology thrown my way that didn't actually apologize for anything or admit any wrong on her part. Clearly, she hasn't changed. I'm actually glad for this little bit of dialogue I had with her. It's helped me to see that I'm missing out on nothing, and I'm fortunate she isn't a part of my life. Anyone going through this, be strong. Keep your resolve. Fight the emotions that would lead you down a path of hurt. Focus on yourselves and remember your worth. And I hope everyone who goes through being cheated on finds their happiness. Your emotions are understandably all over the place. Anger, worry, regret, and missing the kids. It's incredibly difficult to reconcile the person you loved with who she is now. Allow yourself to grieve without acting impulsively. Your concern for your ex and her kids, despite everything, shows your character. However, you need to set limits for your own well-being. You can't fix her, only she can decide to change. Getting involved now might only hurt you more and slow your own healing. Keeping no contact is crucial, even though it's hard. Re-engaging could draw you back into a harmful dynamic, and right now, you need to prioritize your own peace and well-being. Blocking her isn't about being cruel. It's about protecting yourself from the chaos and allowing room for your own healing. It's clear your ex hasn't changed, as she still attempts manipulation without taking accountability. This recent interaction should reinforce your decision to stay no contact. It's difficult, but letting go of hope that she'll somehow transform into the person you used to love is necessary.